this 2007 Yamaha TTR125. It's got some carburetor issues, not wanting to start. May have a stopped up petcock as well. Fuel valve. We'll get into this one. We'll take the carburetor off, clean it, check if we're getting gas through the petcock. If not, we'll take it apart, clean it or replace it. I do have an extra one of those here, so we may just replace it depending on how bad it is. But we'll go ahead and get started on taking the carburetor off and see what it looks like. Carburetor on this one's pretty easy to get to. Just got a couple clamps here. Take off. Clamp there. Clamps loose. We can pull the carburetor down. The fuel line done came off. We done that. Got this vent line here. Vent tube. Undo the throttle cable. When you put this back in, you want to make sure, see there's a groove here. It don't go all the way up on this side. You want to make sure you put it in the right way. There's a notch in the carburetor right there. It's got to slide through this groove. If you put it in backward, you'll be stuck wide open, 3/4 to wide open throttle. And when you start it up, it's going to be running high RPMs. So you always want to make sure that slides all the way down in there before you tighten that up. You don't want to have to force it. You don't want to be collapsing the spring to tighten it up or to get the bolt started. There on top of that. Now we'll go ahead and take our choke cable loose. Pull the choke cable out. We got another hose on it here. Now it's got the carburetor out. We'll get it up here on the table and take the bowl off of it and see what it looks like. Alright, so we'll go ahead and pull the bowl off. See what it looks like in there. See this bowl's green inside of it from the gas where it's sit. Dirty there as well. We'll go ahead and take the jets out and see if we can get them cleared up, make sure they're not stopped up or anything. Jet's stopped up there. stopped up as well. Should be able to, on these jets, should be a small hole all the way through them there. These are plugged up where you can't see through them. This one as well. This one you can see through a little bit, but it does have some stuff in it. Make sure those are good and clean. Make sure everything's cleaned out good. Needle valve float's moving, shutting the fuel off. And you want to make sure you can blow through these passages with some air. This one's also got a little diaphragm over here. So we'll check that area. Check everything in here. Got a couple jets in this right here area as well on this one. That one looks good on it. You do want to make sure you put these back in the same place because some of them's different size holes in the center. And it will not run right if you don't have them in the right spot. Take these out one at a time. That one's good. Sure that's not stuck there, that valve. It's not. Put this back on. Go ahead and pull out the emulsion tube here. You want to make sure that's good and clean through it. Alright, so we got our jets out. We'll go ahead and pull the pin the rest of the way out of the needle valve, or the float. It was starting to come out anyway. Make sure the needle valve's good and don't have no pitting or grooves notched out in the rubber tip there. And you want to make sure the seat down here is good and clean. Spray through it. We'll take some air here and we'll blow through all the passages. Make sure all the holes are blowed out good, not stopped up. Also spray a little carb cleaner in it. Clean some of this up a little bit. Take our tubes and blow through everything. Our jets, we'll make sure they're good and clean. You can see the light through them real good. Those are good and clean. Alright, now that we got it good and cleaned out, we're ready to put the float back in. Go ahead and line the needle valve up, slide it down in there. Put the pin in it. And when you do that, you'll want to blow through the fuel line. Put your piece of hose on it and blow through it. Make sure as you raise and lower the needle or the float there, the fuel will either, you can blow through it, and then as it comes down, you should be able to shut it off. It needs to shut off when it's about level right there. This one is working. We'll go ahead and put our emulsion tube back in. Main jet. Something else too, if you buy you a carburetor kit, if you buy an aftermarket one, it should always check the jet sizes, make sure they're the same. I typically don't like to use the new jets that come in the kits. I like to, if I can get the old ones clean, I'd rather use them. That way you know you got the right size. Some of these carburetor kits will come with the wrong size jets. Even if they're marked right, they still may be a different size. Not exactly right, sized up with factory. That's something to watch out for. Once you get the jets in, we'll make sure you put this back down on there, and then we'll be ready to put the bowl on. I got the carburetor back together, ready to put it back on the bike now. Alright, before we put the carburetor back on, I'm going to go ahead and take this fuel hose off. I got one a little longer I'm going to put on there and drain the fuel out of the tank. Just because I know it's got some old gas in it. Alright, now that I got the gas drained and the carburetor cleaned, ready to put it back on. Go ahead and put the choke back on first. Once we get the choke on, we can go ahead and put the throttle slide in. Remember on the groove, the notch in the carburetor. When you do it, you want to be able to see the slide come all the way down in the carburetor. That's how you know it's in there right. If it's stuck up and won't go all the way down, you know it's not in there right. And if it's not in there right, and it's stuck up like that, you crank it up, you're going to run half throttle or more, depending on how far it's stuck up, and won't be good. You get all the hoses hooked back up on the carburetor and reroute it. And tighten the two clamps back up. You want to make sure the carburetor is seated good inside the tubes, the intake boot and the airbox boot. You don't want it sucking air around those or sucking dirt in it either. Now that we got those tight, go around to the other side and hook up the fuel hose, and then we'll be ready to crank it. The old fuel hose was stiff and cracked, so we'll go ahead and put a new fuel hose on it here. Now we just need to get some gas in it and give her a few kicks and see if she'll crank. Alright, now it's back together. We're ready to fire it up. Choke it. Give it a few kicks. She's good to go now.